All right.
I never got
Yo, we are live on Beat People Podcast, episode 65. Featuring my man Peter from Sensel. We got D still in the house. We got Ken, Flux Pierce. What's up, Peter?
Oh, it's been very busy over here, and just lots and lots of self-created work.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the shelter in place, like slop just going on, and yeah.
I'm right there with you, man. I did not have all of this going on. I'm on some real shelter. Who cares? No doubt.
I know. I'm sorry. I should class up the joint and shave for your podcast.
no, we didn't
get that
yeah. See, look at Still's like, hey, man, this was about.
Yeah,
this is what it's about, man.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, hey, thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, it's good to have you, man. It's I know we've been crossing paths for quite some time. Sometimes we've bumped into each other at Perfect Circuit and you know what I mean, and different stuff at NAM and stuff. So yeah, it's good to finally have you on and kind of talk about Sensel and stuff.
Yeah.
Can you get yourself situated over there?
Oh, my life is never going to be situated. I'm the epitome of not being situated ever.
Yeah,
cool.
We know
it's
that.
a good look on you.
Cool, Ken. It looks good on you.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I've just been busy, working and, trying to get things done. So.
Cool. Well, so I want to, Peter, firstly, is it Nyboer?
Nyboer, indeed.
Okay. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to mispronounce it, but okay. Peter Nyboer from Sensel. Sensel is on the show, and we're going to talk about the Sensel Morph. Well, but first, Sensel, give us some background on Sensel and how it all kind of came to be.
Yeah, so Sensel, I've been with them for about 3 years, but I first met the founders when they first were starting out. So I was working with Livid Instruments.
Okay.
So you can probably see this tower of stuff over here. I've got basically every Livid controller here for posterity's sake. So we had just started working with pressure sensors at the time when we did the bass, and I was at this hardware startup meetup in San Francisco, and just started talking to this dude, and I think it was right when we came out with the guitar wing. Okay. So I was showing that off there, and just like, hey, here's this cool new weird hardware thing, and mostly it's like IoT and things like that, like techie stuff. It's not a real music crowd. And so I just started chatting with this dude because it's a networking thing, and I was he's like, oh, that's a really cool device. And I was like, well, what do you do? He's like, oh, we make pressure sensors. And I was like, we need to talk. It's like,
I was just starting to do pressure sensors and stuff, and it was kind of like they were already there. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and they had, and it's like, oh, new pressure sensor technology. I need to learn about this because this is where we're going. We're trying to do everything with pressure sensors with our products. So so I chatted with him and the other founder, Aaron Zaraga. And they were just starting out with the technology. And so it wasn't really quite time for us to work together. And then fast forward a few years later when I was looking for work and, because Livid had kind of come to an end. And then I had another job for a little while and that startup died. And so I thought I'd take my Midas Touch someplace else now. And so I contacted them. I was like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, well, we just, and I knew about the Morph because they kickstarted it, but it took them probably 2.5 years to actually get it production ready.
Yeah.
And so they were like, oh yeah, we really could use some help with this because there's a bunch of music applications, and I was like, oh great. So I started working with them, and it turns out so they started with the Morph, and it was just really kind of an interesting story because they're really focused on touch, human interaction with touch, and pressure sensing as a gateway to really improving that experience, because you're using it every day on your phones and on your laptops and stuff like that. Right. And they just kind of wanted to bring that extra dimension to it because, they're not musicians, but they were really into multi-touch and stuff like that. And they're like, this can really bring a level of engagement that you don't get from 2D. And, you know, as a musician, I'm like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's interesting though, Ben. At that point, did they even have the overlays, all of the overlays that
so
the
product was fully designed. They like really went all in on the product. I mean,
okay.
You know, because it's a really nice thought out device. Like there's all sorts of clever stuff. This is, you know, they engaged with Frog Design in San Francisco, who's done a bunch of like, you know, high end product design. You know, it's got Bluetooth, USB. It's like super skinny. It's the same size as an iPad 2. It's just beautifully thought out. But you know, like they had that stuff, but it was like, well, what does it work in? Like, how do you make it attractive to people? What other things are in the music industry? And you know, I was well connected with all the music tech people and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, I can show it to all of them, and you know, sort of get feedback and start getting partnerships rolling. So, you know, that's kind of where I came in. But Sensel at its core is, you know, it's a technology company, and so they're really working. You know, and if you happen to see us at CES this year, you would have seen like some of our demos of like using it in mobile phones, using it in trackpads and stuff like that. So they've been working with you know, high volume customers to bring their technology into you know, larger scale devices like mobile and laptops. And there's some medical and things like that they're also working on, like automotive. Like if people are going to drive again in 2 years, I don't know, but
no doubt.
may or may not be an automotive industry.
That's right.
But yeah, so it's really interesting to like, you know, be in this sort of like prove out the product in like the most sort of demanding situation, which is, you know, what musicians are going to put it to. You know, and then putting that, you know, in the interaction possibilities, and then that stuff is going to bubble up into just being like part of laptops and part of phones. So,
yeah, that makes sense. Nice. So it's interesting. They've created a technology that can work in many industries across many devices.
Yeah.
But us as musicians just get the benefit of being able to take expressiveness to the next level because of it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and really so they were like, they needed to make the product like, you know, so that it could be accessed and tested by all these different industries. So that's, you know, that's why the Morph has an API. That's why, you know, it's like, it's not just a drum pad, you know. They had a lot of like, initially there were a lot of like ideas of using it like sort of as a Wacom tablet. Because, you know, theoretically you can do some super cool stuff. Like, you know, you can use paintbrushes, just like a regular paintbrush on the surface, and it's sensitive enough to detect that. You know, so if you wanted to just use like your natural drawing materials and instruments, you could use that on here and use that, you know, and just sort of digitize your actions. But the problem is like ultimately that experience just wasn't quite there for illustrators and artists, because it's like kind of boiled down to like hover mode. But it's like, it's like, oh man, there's really some cool possibilities there. And
that's okay though, right? Because what tends to happen with things, either as the market matures or as the technology matures, or, you know, even the technology that goes into the technology matures, right? Like as those different things mature, then you obviously then begin to have a roadmap.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so there's always more to do, you know. And it's kind of fine, you know, because it's like, man, if I had to like make this, you know, like, because my role is I call it product strategy, but it's really kind of like this factotum, jack of all trades, because it's like I'm doing stuff in marketing, I'm doing stuff in operations, I'm doing stuff in, you know,
you're that dude.
Product specialism. I'm doing sound design, I'm doing big, you know, industry partnerships and stuff like that.
I know people like that.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of all over the place. You know, like, you know, one of my colleagues, he's like, he's like, I was like, I know a guy who can do that. He's like, you always know a guy who can do that.
That's classic.
I was like, man, that's my career. That's what I'm working for. I just want to connect people, you know.
That's it. That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense for you to do what you do for the company too, though. I mean, because that's the puzzle piece, the link between, you know, product and market, product and tastemakers, you know what I mean? So forth and so on.
Yeah.
It makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm so glad to have you here, because we've been actually talking about this show for a few days, or maybe a couple weeks now, since we decided that, you know, since we kind of figured out which date, and you know, because all of us have been interested in some, you know, either one or all of the overlays, and then, you know, there's just been a lot of stuff popping up where we end up talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And D, still, you have, do you have any of these or no?
Actually, it's not on me. It's with my band.
I see.
So I need to get another one for myself here. So I'm just like, I miss the Morph.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, Ken, you've tried this at NAMM, right? No?
I've used it in a few different scenarios, and the main, like, I never had a chance to set it up with my own rig or anything like that. I've done finger drumming on it and that sort of thing. Like, I love to do finger drumming and tippity tappity type things.
Yeah.
But so the thing about that is that I've never had a chance to like deeply map something out the way that I would do it on it, but I've used it and I've been surprised every time at just how sensitive it is.
It is really sensitive, and the rubber feels really nice. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, just in general,
not
doing
weird.
things like I use all 5 fingers when I'm finger drumming, and the pinky obviously tends to have the least amount of force. So that and doing ghost notes and things of that nature, it can be. It can be a little bit touchy on certain controllers as far as whether or not you get consistent triggers. But it felt pretty good in each scenario that I was in. Yeah, it seems really nice.
It's one of those things I love it for chaos.
Yeah, because I mean that's the cool thing is like you can just like pull off the mat and then just create like if you want 4 XYZ pads, you know, you can put tape here, go into our overlay designer, and then just like create 4 XYZ pads, and then you can just.
Well, that's the part that I'm more interested in is the overlay designing.
Yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit about the capabilities there?
Yeah. So, can I share my screen on here, or?
Yeah,
absolutely. If you go down to the bottom, it says share screen. That lets you share screen.
It also says having issues ?
Oh,
I love that.
It has.
Yeah, every time I click on it, it never like they just don't want to help me. They're like, listen, this is not about your relationships.
Right. So we've got the flux here, and I don't mean you flux. I mean the deep feedback.
Yeah,
I love that. It's like it's the greatest. Like,
yeah, it is
just is like one of the greatest psychedelic experiences. Like that was like made me want to like get into alternative media in like the 90s. It was like
I seriously thought he was about to say alternative medicines.
I thought he was.
I was like, is he injecting LSD into his eyes too?
I thought he was going to say alternative dance.
Have you heard of spiral therapy?
There it is. Do you have an orgone accumulator?
Oh my gosh.
All right, so yeah, the Sensel app. So it's all the overlay design stuff is done in the Sensel app, and let's see. So it's really as simple as going to add overlay, and then you select in this case, the custom design for the innovator overlay, and it gives you a blank slate. So it's really just you have like this whole 230 by 110 millimeter space, I believe. And let me see if I can dig up my innovators overlay someplace around here. I'm gonna go like it's like Yoda going through Luke Skywalker.
I just feel like I would draw dirty cartoons on it and then have them all MIDI mapped out.
I didn't do dirty cartoons, but I had really fun. I had a really fun example at CES and at NAMM this year that was a robot, like a puppet. So it was like a digital puppet. So it was like a little character, like 3D character on the screen, and I did it all in Max. So like and I had like pressure points on the Morph, just like little MIDI controllers, and so you'd like press on it and move around, and it would like make the robot go all crazy.
Wow.
And then it also had a sound. It also had sound. The sound design was a combination of myself and Sarah Bell Reed, who's I believe
she's crazy. It's incredible. Like I love that. Like I'll sit up and watch her trumpet videos where she's got some sort of wild electronic something going on. I like this is like superhero villain sound design.
It's nuts.
I met her for like the first time. Well, I met her at Synthplex last year, and my friend Kurt introduced me. He's like, "Hey, you guys should talk. You know, she's doing interesting synthesizer stuff. You have a cool controller. You guys should get together." I'm like, "Okay, great." And then so I looked up what she was doing. I was like, "Oh, wow, this looks great." You know, so my colleague Steve Elkins, who does all of our filming most of the filming for our artist profiles, he and I like met up with her at Cal Arts, and like I only knew a little bit about her, and I was just like, okay, so we just kind of interviewed her about her process, and we ended up doing like a little artist profile of her, and like introduced her to the Morph, and it was cool. But yeah, it was just really great to just like, you know, she's performing with the trumpet, and it's just like she's just got tone for days. Like she's such a good player.
she's an incredible player, but I'm impressed with the fact that she's also as great of a player as she is, she's even more so like that great of an abstract artist. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not an easy thing to do, and she does it. She does both very well.
Yes, and she has a great time doing it too.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Innovators overlay. So let's see. I have like. So I scroll down here, and clearly I've been demoing this. I have all these like garbage designs, you know. So here's one I've been using. Here's like the simplest, stupidest custom design. It's like I've been using it for live streams when I'm doing tutorials here at my desk. I have a scene switcher, so you can see in here. I have
that's great.
Blue masking tape with labels. And,
no doubt.
and all they are is just there's 6 buttons that send keystrokes, right? And it was like, I need this, and so I could do it, you know. And so yeah, it's great because it's just like I just have this great little signature, you know, and then I can also use it for making beats too if I want to. So that's like the dumbest example. Then there was so this is the controller for that robot puppet. So I can let's see. I bet I can find this. I probably shouldn't show all my
Here,
So essentially you can basically draw whatever you want, map whatever you want, and then you have control over things like sending pressure to one destination, velocity to another, that sort of thing, or what?
Exactly. So it's like any control. It's like you can make a square, you can make a circle, you can make a hexagon, and then you can let's see. Let's see. I don't have a. Oh yeah. So here's like this is the prototype. I'll go back to sharing my screen here. So I prototyped with a different character. Let's see. So you can see this was like the printout that I put on the Morph, right? And then so the little circles were what you would press with your fingers, and then so you'd press on the elbow, and it would move the character's elbow and stuff like that.
Oh, wow,
and so cool. It'd be like this totally like just like
That's actually pretty rad. Yeah,
it is.
Crazy noise, like it was just it was one of my happiest moments.
This is actually kind of cool. I mean, it also feels like it'd be an incredible teaching tool too.
Yeah, I mean, because there's like let's see, like here's another one, the hex angle. So this is one I use for just like these things are all arranged by fourths, then the vertical, and it's like a isomorphic keyboard. So with the that way it's just like kind of plays like a guitar without that annoying like little shift on the B string or whatever. So you can just like do. And the great demo I have for this is I connect it to a Korg polylog or mini log, I guess it is, and then just put a piece of acrylic over the top of their keyboard and put this down, and you play this, and then so you can do like MPE type stuff. So
that's
what I was going to ask.
You can do like all this gestural stuff, and it's not truly polyphonic because you can't adjust each individual note's timbre on the polylog, on the mini log, but you can still do all this cool like filtering and oscillator mixing despite going up and down on the keys. And so it's like, oh my God, this totally opens up the synthesizer.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask about is because I do a lot with like the Hydra synth, and then I've got other things that are poly aftertouch like SQ80 and synthesizers like that, so and really a lot of other synths will accept poly aftertouch as well, even if they don't have it. So will it do poly aftertouch and MPE?
So MPE, the way MPE works for people who don't know, it's like if you click on, or let me just if you have let's just say you have 5 notes and you press them in succession, each note is on its own MIDI channel, and then each note has a note on. It also has a vertical position done as CC74. It has horizontal done as pitch bend, and then pressure is channel aftertouch. So it uses channel aftertouch because it's using all 16 channels to do polyphonic expression. So as long as the synth can react to that, it's great. But yeah, you can reprogram these to be. So in this case, the Korg mini log is this one is set up instead of MPE pads, they're MIDI XYZ. So it doesn't do the channel rotation. It's all on the single channel.
Okay, that's dope.
Okay.
But you still get on each pad you get X, Y, and Z that you can assign to. As you can see here, X is pitch bend and Y is CC36 because that's how you mix oscillators on the mini log. And then 22 is pressure, and I think that was like a wave shaping or something like that. It was just like a cool timbral thing you can do. So but yeah, instead of so for pressure you can make it any CC, or you can make it do pitch bend, poly aftertouch, or channel aftertouch. So
that's fly.
That was the long answer to your question. Yes.
No, that's exactly what I wanted to know, though, because a lot of that information can gets muddied, and the people who need specific use cases are gonna want to know this specific facts for each one.
That's
with MPE, polyphonic aftertouch. It gets into this water where not a lot of DAWs are fully accepting of everything right now either. So you're having an issue of not everything accepts what can be thrown at it is the other side of it,
Right. Like Ableton Live obviously is one of the more popular ones that doesn't do MPE. And that's, we package Bitwig 8-track with ours because it's like, it's a great, it does MPE and all of its native, or I should say internal instruments, because it's not its native instruments, but all of its internal instruments are all MPE capable. And then you can also take that same expression data and apply it monophonically to anything. And so it's really a great way to experience that dimensionality.
With iPad apps, it works crazy.
Yes. Yeah. So I actually did a live stream using into a beat maker. So I went way in the weeds, way in the weeds on a set of not only this how to set up the morph, but how do you sample stuff? How do you how do you do layers? How do you do velocity layering? I've been doing a lot of streaming as a sort of.
I need to pick your brain on that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's a lot of depth in these iPad apps. The challenge I think is that they work differently from if you have habits built up in DAWs. You go to an iPad app and you're like, what am I doing? And then because they all have their unique vision, and it's like, okay, that's great and innovative, but I can't get anything done. I don't care how easy you made it. I have my habits.
So I have a question about how you interface on all these things. So when you're interfacing the output of this thing, what are your options as far as sending MIDI over cables? Do you have to run through software, all that good stuff?
Well,
Can you connect directly to hardware?
Like any MIDI controller, it does USB and it does Bluetooth as well, so you can do either or. So you can run wired or wirelessly, but so out that USB you need a host. So I have lots of devices. I'm going to go ahead and go mobile here, so I can show you all the cool devices because of sheltering in place, I have them all here. Oh, hang on, I think I lost my mic. Oh, yeah.
while you're setting up for that,
yeah,
I do have this little box. It's called a Cerebro, I think it's called, by Mode Machines.
Okay.
And it'll actually take anything that sends like a little micro USB or whatever to it, or any USB, and you can plug it into it, and it's just like a little host box that'll spit out DIN MIDI.
Okay, that is one of the things I have. So here I have the Mantimate, and this takes a USB. It has a USB host. You can see in the wires, and what this is actually like. So you can send it, note and pitch data, and send, just turn it all into CV, and it does MPE. So you can, if you have like a polyphonic modular, you can spit out like note, pitch, or trigger, or what is it, gate and pitch, and expression up and down, and after pressure, and then you can do that for like 3 voices, I guess, because it's 12 outputs.
Oh wow, okay.
And
that's pretty cool.
Right now, so I also have this little guy that's
the bleep
the geode, the Nyboer geode. So that's coming MIDI out of my audio interface. So if you're using a computer and you're just want to run it into hardware, then use your audio interface or a MIDI interface. I also have this guy is sort of like a King, the Expert Sleepers FH2. So this has a USB host, so I can just plug the Morph in. This is super cool because there's like all kinds of arpeggiators and stuff that you can control with CC. So there's I've only just like started to touch on some of its madness. But
Peter,
again,
you don't know this, but you just drained Corey's bank account.
Well, the other thing you don't know that I've been looking at that. I didn't know it had ARPs, but I've been looking at that for at least 2 weeks. And it's been on my screen at least 15 times. Yeah, you know too much already by now.
I'm looking at the look in Corey's eyes, and I'm like, that's that spend money look.
So yeah, the Expert Sleepers is super cool in that regard. Like, because you can't, again, you can take control voltage in too and turn it into MIDI for the other cool thing about this is it has a USB-C, so you can drive it from your computer at the same time you're using a controller.
That's great.
Nice.
And it's all configured through the browser, through like a browser interface, web MIDI stuff. Which I have to say is kind of a beast. It's once you understand it, you're like, okay, it's taken me hours to actually wrap my head around it, and I consider myself modestly intelligent. But it's a super powerful device, and there's a lot you can do with it. Then there's also like a thing like this, which is the RetroKits RK005. And right now this is sadly sort of storing my patch cables, but this is like my hardware tower where I demo like using hardware synths. So each one's on its own channel. And then this just turns a USB host. It has a USB host, so I can plug the Morph right into here and then just get MIDI out. You can also do like cool things like sync and weird things with this. Very cool little device.
One more Euro rack for that. I'll show you another one that some of these guys, I think some of you guys have it. So this would do it too.
The endorphin pedal, yes. I was about to get to that one. I don't have that one. But I've been talking to them.
You can host with that one too. So
so you can host with that. It's also like the Expert Sleepers. You can configure it through a browser. I have to say it's mad respect to Expert Sleepers, but the Endorphins interface is a lot better. And they did just do an update to its firmware, so now I think it has a lot of generative things like arpeggiators and patterns and stuff like that. So the cool thing is you can kind of like on your, obviously this stuff is really geared towards, the Thunder overlay because you can put weird on weird. And
nice.
And so it's like you can use like I really like to like these make these XYZ pads. So send CCs out. The cool thing is like, you can kind of run out of outputs, control voltage outputs. But when you're using, you can use the CCs to control the arpeggiators, right? So you can modify your arpeggiator in real time using CCs, and it doesn't like, you're not using any more CV, you're just modifying the device. on the shuttle or the FH2. So that's kind of like the performance holy grail that I was kind of getting into, because I was going to show that stuff at Synthplex and Superbooth, but that stuff's not happening. So.
Yeah. Hey, have you used, because there's another one that comes to mind too. When I've been looking at the FH2, I've also been looking at the Poly 2.
Poly and Poly 2. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. That's another one that I have only I've only like tested it and confirmed that it works. But I don't know much about using the device. So I know it exists. I'm hoping to do, like, because, like I said, I've been doing a lot of live stream tutorials and doing artist talks and stuff like that. In the next few weeks, I want to do a series with all of these devices. So, like,
I think that would be really nice, because that's the first thing I started thinking of. It's like, which of those devices is like would be right for me, and what are the differences? And so I started going on a whole thing about looking at these different things, and then so I know that the Poly 2 is one of them, the FH2 is one of them, the shuttle control, which I think is what Ken just showed, and then there's like the Scorp. It also does MPE. I've seen people using it with the Thunder, the Morph Thunder. So
the Scorp, we're actually going to be doing a thing tomorrow with a Portland-based artist, Hugo Paris. So we're doing a live stream tomorrow, and we're going to be using the Scorp mod. He's going to be showing that with the Thunder overlay, and I'll be picking his brain about it. So
fresh.
Nice.
Cool.
Very cool stuff, man.
Yeah, the cool thing about the Scorp is it's like, because it's a sequencer, you can do gesture recording into it. So, you can do some stuff on the Morph and just record that into the Scorp, and then it's just going to spit that out. And then you can do other stuff, Yeah. So it's like
that's super cool, actually. And that's the thing about each one of these different devices that offer MPE and the Eurorack. They all have a little thing that they do that's a little special from the last thing. So you kind of have to look at it and say which one of those things are most appealing to me or most useful to me in my particular setup and what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah. It's a hard decision,
Yeah, without a doubt, get them all.
So I have an interesting question.
Yes.
How much pressure can this thing take?
So it's rated at 5 grams to 5 kilograms as dynamic range.
Okay.
But so that's like, so if you put like a 5 kilogram weight on it, it's gonna it'll detect that. But if you put a 10 kilogram, it's just gonna see it as a 5 kilogram. And that, the thing is that kind of varies because it's an array of sensors, right? So, it's kind of an approximate, like, I guess it's like if a finger-sized 5 kilogram force is going to max it out, right? Because if you have a palm-sized kilogram force, it's spreading that force over a bunch of sensors. So each little sensor element, a Sensel, is detecting less pressure, even though you're putting, more weight on it.
So
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And here was my weird invention that I had in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, man, what if I brought 4 Sensel Morphs and just printed out an overlay of a drum pad, just one big drum pad, because I'm a drummer. Yeah. So I'm like, rather than me have like, a Roland, SPD or something. Right. I can have 4 of these Sensel Morph pads.
Oh yeah,
mapped out that I can play with sticks or with mallets or with or with just with something that's a high pressure. But I just wanted to know how much pressure that it can take, because when a dude hits a drum, it's like a shotgun going off.
Right. You can definitely play it with drumsticks. Like, I don't know, I haven't done like the abuse testing of it. So it's like if you take mallets and you're like, like, it's probably not going to do that.
Yeah. You're like, this thing cracked. That's crap.
And that's the reason why I was asking is because if I do get one that's personally mine, I'm probably going to try that.
Yeah. So I would say don't go full Tycho on it.
But, like, go like jazz brushes on it.
Yeah, jazz brushes. You can go ride cymbal on it, right?
Yeah.
I guess the one limitation, and this is something that we intend to improve, but we've heard this limitation a lot, is that there's sort of like 2 modes. There's the high speed mode, and there's sort of like the standard scanning mode. So when you put the like when you put the drum pad on, it kicks it into high speed mode. So what that means is it's like you can't differentiate like close contacts as well, which, you know, you're playing with drumsticks, who cares? So, you know, so it can scan a lot faster. It's like lower resolution but higher speed.
So what kind of latency are we talking about in the high resolution?
High resolution, I want to say, is 1,000 hertz. So whatever that comes out to. I mean, it can go for, I think it's down to 2 milliseconds. So
which isn't bad either. Like that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's the high resolution or the high speed?
That's the high speed.
Okay.
And then
what's the high resolution?
High resolution, I think, is 8 milliseconds out of the device.
And that's not bad either, actually.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, once you put your sound card and your USB stacks and all that, you're going to get a little bit more. But it's a fast device. So you can do like drum rolls with the drum pad, but unfortunately, the only way to access the high speed mode is to have the yellow pad. So that's something we would like to fix. So you can do it with, you know, for example, you can't do rolls with, you know, with these other ones.
So that's kind of like something that's hard coded in the preset for the drum pad.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to figure out a nice way of putting a switch in so that.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I would want, because if I'm drawing up my own custom overlays, I'm definitely going to want to be able to do that.
Yes.
You know.
So
I would
love
to be a guinea pig for that. I would love to be a drummer guinea pig for this joint, because that's
actually
really
be a pretty good one too.
Yeah.
When I saw this, I remember the first time seeing this, my brain kind of exploded, because I was just like, "Yo, the sensitivity on this thing, can allow me to, like, for instance, it can make my either program drums or live like drum synth stuff sound way more expressive, or even if I'm using something like Addictive Drums or BFD or something like that, I can get more expressive with the pressure.
The cool thing that I think I like to say about it is that you can tickle it, right? You can tickle it and get a response, and it's like, oh, it makes it more like just alive, you know? And so you're like kind of just, and you have like, especially if you use like a custom overlay, or you're just using like the bare morph itself, like you can just like, you know, like tickle it and just like it's effervescent, you know.
Okay, so during the Perfect Circuit presentation you did the thing where you took the overlay off and just put your palm on it.
Yeah.
And when I saw that 3D render of like all the pressure points, where you basically just saw an image of your palm on it. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is on some freaky shit.
I'll do that. Why, I'll do that now.
Yeah, I loved it, and I was like, that just made my mind go nuts.
So it's like I press on the bare morph, and you can see on the image there that it's just like, yeah, that's my hand.
Hold on, I gotta share the screen. Hold on.
Oh,
people can see it.
I did share.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, there you go. You got it.
Yep.
So yeah, this is just the visualizer that's built in.
Oh, that's dope.
Ken, that's what I was telling you about. I had saw that and I was like, oh, Ken needs one of these just because of that.
And for me, like, I look at these kinds of things and I think like all the modulation possibilities.
Exactly.
And like I love finger drumming, but for me, like, it's so you could do that, but it's more about like the expressivity of how you can kind of morph a sound and that sort of thing. And that really, that appeals to me deeply. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, you know, and even like, you know, here I have a simple grid, an MPE grid. So it's like, you know, this is just like the most basic controller. And we don't make a grid overlay. I've kind of been like, I don't know, I'm a little bit like, should we do a grid overlay? We get a lot of requests for it, but I'm like, are you sure you really want that? Like, I don't know. It just seems like you would get lost in a sea of pads, and I don't know. It's like, I don't feel like I'm adding anything to the controller conversation when I do that, but I should probably just let it go and just do it.
The idea behind this would be like, at the same time, like that you're triggering a clip, you could also be opening the filter of that track channel at the same time.
So like there's a bunch into it.
Yeah, there's or you can like do the volume fade of the channel at the same time as triggering the clip. So there's a bunch of uses to a grid in this form.
Oh, there is for sure. Yeah. I just kind of like,
I know, but it's kind of boring at the same time.
It is in some ways, but it's like, I think we need to do it, you know, one of these days. So Let's see if I can do.
Corey, we hear you goofing off over there.
Yeah, I want to show this something.
He's over there playing with his sticks.
Hold on, let's see.
Oh yeah. Let me see this, Corey. Come on.
So I know D still wants to be able to do this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You see the light up here, D still? This is very sensitive.
Something changed, and now we're getting echo.
Yeah, hold up. It's because my phone is involved, so I gotta shut it up. Just bear with us a sec.
Nope, you're fine.
See that light?
Yeah. Okay.
It's very sensitive. And the bounces.
Yeah, that's fire.
Yeah.
So a question about these overlays. And so they're basically just silicone, though, right?
Yeah. They have magnets in them, so you can see it in like.
So if you wanted to basically 3D print your own, you can do that?
You can, and some people have experimented with that in our forums. You just like look up 3D printing in our forums, you'll see some users who have been doing that. The one that, like when we've tried it, if you just use like a standard like plastic filament from a run of the mill 3D printer, can't believe that I'm saying that. That stuff is pretty stiff, so you don't get a good force image if you make it continuous. But you can do things like make a mask, right? So
that's exactly where my mind was, making a grid, and then I could fill it with silicone or whatever,
Yes, exactly. So you could do something like that, because 3D printing silicone is, or anything like that, it's a durometer, the hardness durometer of like 50, Shore 50, I believe is the measurement that these are like 40 and 50 depending on the overlay. And so trying to get a 3D print of something that Shore hardness is really like expensive. And it's not that cool because they don't do multiple colors. And so, it's like trying to, like, you can get 70 or 60, I think. That's relatively cheap, but it's one of those wormholes. I like, there's this other stuff that I've been doing with neoprene. And so these make nice surfaces and you can print stuff out. This one didn't turn out that great, but you can see this is, I'm going to hold it back because this is in development. So I don't want to say what it is. Well, you can see it's a lot like our video editing overlay. But it has different controls for a different software. But this is just neoprene, right? And I printed it on this at this company called printerstudio.com. And then what they print it for is people who are like gamers and want dice mats. So they have you can do different sizes and you can put like your fantasy castle printed on it and be like, yeah, I'm in the dungeon, man. And your 20-sided die like lands on the neoprene and it's fair and it doesn't go everywhere. It's like a good surface for it. So that's what that's for, but it's also a really nice overlay material for prototyping or just, making a custom overlay because it's cheap. Like you can print I recently printed, I think 10 for like $50. I had to cut them out, but so it's like, that's cheap. You can do 10 of these things, or you can do 4 for like $25. You can fit 4 on a pad for like $25 or something. So it's a good way to go. And it turns out,
I mean, that opens up a whole new world of possibilities, right? For people that want to make custom things, or because you have this one where you can draw on it, the one you were talking about, the innovators pad, you have the one where you can draw on it and stuff. But if you have, put together something that you want to use with a little more permanency or something, you can go and get this printed up. That's dope.
Exactly. So go ahead and share my screen again, because I wanted to show you another thing that is kind of cool. Let me go back to my Max. So this is using Max MSP. Let me make my image here better. And so this is merging a camera with a plane that takes in the visualizer. And I showed something like this at Perfect Circuit, where I actually made this an instrument, as a visual instrument, so I could, visualize this stuff and then also play sound by taking all that data and then applying it to a synthesizer, a soft synth.
That's dope.
Yeah, so I mean, this is just kind of like a cool, I can do live visuals this way,
That's how does that the Sensel Morph translate vibrations? Let's say I have it on the table.
So it's gonna be sorry, go ahead.
Well, the reason why I'm asking is because the crazy ideas that run through my mind is like, what if I took a tiny Bluetooth speaker and put it on the Sensel Morph?
Well, it's probably not going to. It would only sense low frequency, frequencies.
Yeah, it would sense low frequency,
1,000 hertz, 500 hertz or whatever. But I have a speaker on here now. Let me turn it up. Let's try it. I don't know. See what happens.
I wonder what. Check it out. Peter is ready for every single scenario.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm digging this right now.
So, I should take my hand off the table. So let's see.
Because it could become like a contact mic on steroids.
Well, here we go.
Well, the flip side of that would be, what if you're doing a live show and the bass of the array system is so loud that it's...
Well, don't put it on the array, okay? So here we go. I don't know can you hear this? Let me put it up to my mic. So here's the sound. Nice
we hear that.
sound. Okay, so I'm going to put the speaker on the Morph, and you'll see the...
Nice.
And
I'm not touching it. That's just the sound making it vibrate.
That's dope.
That's actually really cool, because then you could do you can send that as like a modulation source, just as like the low frequency coming from something, and that's pretty rad.
You guys think like artists.
That's right.
I'm already getting back to my dirty cartoon and other things that I could put on it to vibrate.
I'm gonna vibrate my dirty cartoon, Ken.
We're taking this down an ugly path as quick as possible.
He's just gonna ask you if it can make wings for him.
Jen got me 3 new bags of wings. I can't. I am socially isolating like a boss. I got so many frozen wings in my freezer right now.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna see if I can. Oh yeah, here's the puppet. Let's see if we can make this work. So, are you still sharing my screen?
No, you need to click this share screen again.
Okay, good.
It went away.
Let me go ahead and see if I can make this work. That would be amazing. Because I won't have the sound, but we will have the visuals, and that's, we're on a visual medium right here. No one cares about the sound.
That's right.
Side note, just so that people know, because I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit surprised because I had been looking at a competing product for this recently, and I went to the site now while we're on the show. The Morph with 1 overlay is only $249. Yes. I was thoroughly surprised by that. I was expecting $479 or something.
Nah, Ken. This is super attainable. And that's why when he told me how much it was going to be, I was like, wait, this is going to be that much? Oh,
yeah, because the other product that I've been looking at's $469 or something like that, I think.
Yeah, you can get a bundle of this for probably cheaper than that with all the overlays.
And it's also way more fun to use than a Touche.
Well, the one that really gets me excited on here, I'll share this real quick just so that people can see what I'm talking about, is... So there's different bundles with all the different overlays. Here's the the Morph with 1 overlay is $249, and then they've got the Music Maker bundle here, which gives you keyboard.
Yeah, that's dope.
Gives you the yellow drum pad, and it gives you the finger drumming pad. The one that I really like is this Creative Producers Kit for $299. That gives you the Thunder. What is it called? The Thunderbird.
The Buchla Thunder.
Yeah. So
Buchla Thunder overlay. Yeah. As you can see, I'm kind of into Don Buchla. I got my Don Buchla poster up there.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
I got so many original Buchla albums, vinyl. Yeah. I'm all about that.
Nice.
So and I would want the Innovators overlay.
Yeah.
I probably want a couple of those, but. The one thing out of all of that I would say that I really do want to see is man, make that switch happen for the high speed mode. But
so scroll down there a little bit more, Ken, to that one with all of them. Complete Morph up a little bit. It's the second row.
Oh, there it is, right here.
Yeah. Complete so I mean, you can literally have all of them for
that's really great. That's a really great bundle and still it's cheaper than the Rolly Music Kit.
It's cheaper than a lot of products out there. To be
honest,
honest,
it's cheaper than a lot. And think about what you're getting. You're getting so many things.
Because what happens when you like start messing with a roller, you're like, man, I don't want to use this layout. Oh, I'm stuck with it because I paid $500. You know, and it's just like, this is great, man. I'm super.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised at the price point on this now. So
that's one of the things about like the. As far as like, with the Morph is that you can like, especially for MPE, this is what makes me like super excited about it is that you can use any shape. Like you can do, MPE with drum pads, you can, and the Thunder is really great for MPE because it's like, you slide up and down on this stuff and you're not going to hit a flat key, right? Whereas like a piano is not really, it's designed for a thing with like strings and mechanical hammers and trying to fit an octave within the space of 10 hands. That's what or within a space of a hand, really, and so that's what the design of that is for. It's not designed for like sliding around and massaging weird sound. And that was like Don's idea with the Thunder is like, yes, you need to be able to slide around and make weird sound.
He designed something that you could go outside of the conventional with because he knew that the instrument that he was designing was a conventional unconventional sound source.
Yes.
So you kind of have to match it with that.
It does. It does beg the question though. If I had two Sensel Morphs side by side, could you set one to one octave and the other to the other octave so that you could kind of have more octaves there?
Yeah, you can do that. Definitely.
Cool.
Yeah, that's totally a thing you can do. So I am actually
Stop it, Steele. I know what you're thinking. I know exactly what you're thinking. Stop it.
Ken's like, I want to create an 88 key Sensel.
There's a guy who did that. He made
his name is Ken.
No, this guy in Spain. I met him at Super Booth a couple years ago. He showed me. He's like, hey, I've got 4 Morphs, and I have this. He made a piano overlay for it called the Continuano, and so it was essentially. He built his own Hawken Continuum.
Oh, that's great!
Wow, that's crazy.
He did a lot of work to be able to so he got deep into it and went into the API and did all.
Did he use the developer's cable?
No, no. Funny you should ask about that because I actually.
Yeah, I know you look. I love it. Peter is almost kind of like Ken. You could mention anything. Ken could go under his table and pull one out. Because when we used to do this. Pete has that vibe going too.
and just so you know, Steele, it's in that category of I either want 0 or I want 2, right?
Yeah.
It's in that category.
So this is an Arduino with a DMX shield wrapped up in a Lego case.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow, dope.
And so this controls lights.
Nice.
I could probably get that working, but I got to show you this other thing. I'm dying to make this robot work.
Okay. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Hey, Corey,
click screen share.
Did you notice that in the text it says "eat people" instead of BeatPPL.com?
Does it?
In what text?
Like if you look at the comment.
Oh, it does because it's covered up with the comment.
It says eatpeople.com.
Oh yeah, that's classic.
Hey man, it is the end of the
world. We do what we got to do, man.
Beat People is Soylent Green.
Quarantine, you got to do what you got to do.
Soylent Green for the hip hop community.
Eatpeople.com.
So I want to pose this question while you get that ready, Peter. Yeah. The guy said, "Can you link multiples of these together?" Is that what the guy in Spain did, or he had to do a little bit of kind of self-development for himself?
No, he definitely had to do some development.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I
so
don't
out
think
the box, you can't necessarily link 3 or 4 of these together and do all that, but you can take them and plug them into a USB hub and control different things with them as different controllers.
Yeah. Just like any USB.
Just like anything else, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. I may be failing on this demo, but we'll see.
It's okay. It's okay, man. Nobody's perfect, man. You just helped develop one of the dopest pieces of gear that's out, right now.
Yeah, that's right. And that is good enough, young man.
I'm not so young. All right, let's see. Okay, so let me share my screen. Just if nothing else, I'll give people a taste of what what a hurriedly patched together max patch looks like. So.
Oh wow.
it's let's see. I'm going to share the entire screen. Yeah. Okay, there you go. That's a max patch.
Oh yeah, that's what I love right there.
And it says humanoid.
Humanoid.
Okay. Let's see. So where is robot? Yeah, I think this is the one I want. Okay. Oh yeah, they've got something.
Oh, cool. So you got it animated.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
nice.
So I'm gonna just kind of float this guy around in space a little bit, and then, yeah. So I just mash around on the morph. He's animating, and he's a digital puppet, right? So
that's
awesome. Dope. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff that like I wouldn't even think about. Like, because obviously you look at this and like, yo, that's gonna be dope expressivity for me making music. But then when you get into all of this stuff, this is like a tool for so many things. Like, there's a lot of teaching with it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of dope performance capabilities with it. This is really super cool, man. Like somebody said in the comments, it's very forward thinking sort of product.
I want a Sensel outfit.
Wait, does that mean you want people to just go around poking you and touching you?
No, I mean, like, I just want to be like, oh, look at this automation. Like,
that's dope.
Look at this.
I'm gonna make that light blink. You start squeezing your own shoulder.
Automation after dark.
You need me to draw some cartoons for that?
No.
Okay. All right.
Very cool.
Can we see the lights being controlled back here?
Oh, that's okay.
So,
that's dope.
That is.
And then I can use pressure to engage the strobe mode.
Oh, that's dope.
So it's basically an RGB so I have 2 RGB color wheels mapped out here, and then that's just affecting the light color, and then the other color, and then I can have a dance party in here. Who needs people? I have lighting.
No, that's great.
Yeah,
this is really cool.
But yeah, so this is just the morph with the developer's cable, and then going into Arduino and just turning it into a DMX lighting thing. And this is actually on our blog, so if you just look up like DMX or Arduino on our blog, you'll find it.
Nice.
Man, I'm interested in how I can integrate my OPZ and the Sensel morph together.
Me too. I don't know. I shouldn't say I know this. I'm pretty sure it has a host mode on the OPZ, but I don't know.
It does, yeah.
Okay, I don't know if it actually works, but because one of the things that I found is that a lot of USB hosts aren't ready for the morph because it shows up as a gaming device, a keyboard, a MIDI controller, a serial device, right?
Cool.
So that way, I mean, that's one of the cool things is you can mix keystrokes and MIDI on this thing when you do your like innovator stuff.
That's dope.
Yeah, because there's a lot of DAWs. You're like, well, I can't control that thing via MIDI, but I can do it via keystrokes. And so if you're making something specific for your DAW, you can have MIDI stuff along with keystrokes on the same control surface, which is
so. Here's a kind of just another question about usability of this thing. So say you design an interface for it that you want, and you save that interface, and you've got this cool like MPE, interface happening, and you want to take it and just plug it into like your Eurorack or whatever. It saves that interface inside the morph.
Yeah.
Is there a pot? Can you still swap between multiple interfaces, or do you have to load in a new one each time if it's a custom one?
No. So, if it's a custom one, there's only one custom map.
Okay.
So yeah, there's only one custom map, and if you wanted to change that custom mapping, then you would have to use a computer to load a new one on it. Okay. This is again something an improvement that we're looking to make. I'm going to say before the end of the year and just put.
Would that require a hardware update as far as more memory, or are you talking about a soft update?
No, it would just be a firmware.
Oh, cool.
So,
but at the same time, though, you have that one custom overlay, but you also have the other overlays, like all that.
I'm just talking about for custom stuff.
Yeah,
no, you can have multiple customs in there. Yeah,
it's a reasonable request, and it's something that we did for the Buchla Thunder. So this actually has 9 different presets on it. So you hold down the programmer's bar up here, and then you have 9 presets that you can access. So you can have like different scales, or so by default the first 4 are MPE. There's 4 different scales that are programmed for MPE. Then number 5, these are all just like CCs for like a mixing board. And then 6, 7, 8, and 9 are just standard single channel MIDI. So if you're using MPE, you can use these. If you're using like Ableton or whatever, you can use these. And
it sounds like you guys are steady, active developing for it, though. Like, it's not like a run and done product. It's something that you guys are still kind of showcasing with.
Absolutely, and it's something we have future developments, but I do, there have been some people on the forum who have been like, "You guys aren't updating fast enough," and
that's
every product.
Too much.
I know, but
those are the people that don't make music.
Stop it, Steele.
I empathize with them, but at the same time, it's like, well, there is a lot of cool shit that you can do here. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what kind of music are you trying to make? Because I'm like, bro, you're like, it doesn't have hieroglyphics built in. I don't know. Like, bro, why do you need that? Like, why?
Because maybe people like to draw not one dirty cartoon, but many.
Ken.
Across many centuries. Let me ask you though, I've been curious about the Buchla Thunder because that wasn't one of the original sets of overlays, right?
No,
so how did that come about?
So that came about when it was funny because like when I first started working with Sensel, my good friend Kurt Karasaki, who's kind of an underground. Pep. There you go. I was gonna say a lot of people know him, and a lot of people like that's kind of my litmus test for a lot of people. I'll be like, "Hey, do you know Kurt?" And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I know Kurt." Or they'll be like, "No, I don't know him." And I'm like,
Yeah, I wonder about you.
He was like, "You guys should do a Thunder overlay," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I like the idea." I was like, "It seems kind of far out." I'm like, I'm not sure we're quite ready to do that, but it was definitely like I was like, oh, it makes so much sense, and like I know Joel Davell, who's the chief engineer behind Buchla for 30 years or so now, and so I ran into him at like a trade show, and we were talking. We're like, hey, maybe there's something cool we could do, and we're talking about it, and we're like, well, maybe we should just try to do this Thunder overlay thing. And the cool thing is that as a company, like they're easy to work with. Like Eric Fox. Eric Fox is is the CEO of Buchla and also like Foxtone Distribution, and he just wants to do cool
everything,
stuff.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I think this is a great idea. And I'm like, well, I'm not, I was like, we can't promise huge paychecks out of this. He's like, it's cool, like it's gonna get the Buchla name out there to people that and give people an opportunity to experience some of what Dom was doing.
And they had just taken it over too, so it was kind of a good move to kind of.
It had been a couple of years. It had been a couple of years, I think, that because it was like in 2016, I think, when they did that. 2017 maybe. Because
it was recent. I mean, that's still pretty damn recent.
No, it is.
I mean, in terms of Buchla, we're talking recent.
I'm like that's pretty recent compared.
So it's been really cool, and I really like it because it really it definitely did way better than we thought it was going to do. Because I was like, this is kind of a weird play, but hey, let's try it. And it's like people are into it. And
is it one of your more popular overlays?
Yeah, it is.
I can believe that because I see it a lot, and not just because lately I've been really into looking for what people are doing with it. But no, I've been seeing it a lot, because people listen. Here's the thing: you can be curious about Buchla stuff, but Buchla is not the curious kind of price point. You know what I mean? You cannot just you gotta be
rich and curious. You gotta be rich and curious. Like, oh man, I'm curious. It's like buying fancy cold cuts.
That's right.
You don't gotta be rich. You just gotta have weird priorities. Like you just gotta know where to place your priorities.
All right.
Those kids get one outfit every 3 years. I'm getting a Buchla. You know what I mean? That's it. So this is cool for you to take something from that sort of setup and that paradigm and bring it into something like this that makes it more accessible to so many people. And I think that's why I'm seeing so much of it out there, because there's a lot of curiosity for people that are Euro and that made no synthesis. You're not just going to be able to just go cop a Buchla. This gives you a little bit of that expressivity and some of that Buchla taste and into a more accessible sort of format and price point.
Yeah, and I would love to use this with the Arteria Buchla easel.
It's really cool. Like
really? Oh,
yeah.
I'm going to open that up now.
I have to say that the drawback is that the easel V is not MPE. So
that's
right. But it's but it's also it's a monophonic instrument to start with.
Yeah.
But you can definitely do, especially in Bitwig, because Bitwig makes like the expression parameters from MPE really easy to apply. You can do cool stuff with it, and it's really a joy to just sort of get that experience. So, like I've got my full Buchla circle going on, and I'm not $3,000 minimum poor.
Dude, exactly. I borrowed one of these for like 2 weeks, and it was just sitting in my house, and I made so much dope shit with this.
We had Buchla came out with the easel command module, which is basically the top of the music easel.
I want that.
So they premiered that. We had one of 2 devices at NAMM, one of 2 existing easel command modules. Nice. It was great. So we were demoing that in our booth with the Thunder overlays. So they did a Kickstarter for it, and like one of the like top tier backers, they would get a Morph with it. So it's designed that it has a USB host in the easel command. You can plug the Morph right in, and then there's easy mappings to actually control some of the timbre parameters and things like that. And yeah, it was just so fun to I spent a lot of time at NAMM just like sort of one of the things is that people come up and they don't really know how that thing works, and they just start moving stuff because it's a hands-on event. But when you do that with a music easel, it's just like things go south real.
You kind of got to be tactical with it.
Yeah, and so it was funny because and I was like, I was kind of the person at the booth who knew the most, and I didn't know that much about it. Like I could get it to a point where where it would make a sound that wasn't unbearable, and but it was the great thing was it was like, oh, I gotta fix the Buchla again, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play around.
That's classic.
Yeah, just like be there front and center, just like doing weird stuff on the Thunder and just getting all this cool stuff going, and I just like zone out on it for a while. Like I need a break from all these people. I'm just gonna perform.
Yes.
It would be perfect for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because this thing's already kind of set up for polyphonic aftertouch, and
is it really
something?
Yeah.
This is polyphonic aftertouch, but cool. It's PCB keyboard.
Yeah.
So something like a Morph, you could do way deeper than that, and it does have some cool morphing and modulation capabilities.
Yo, Ken. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, so I would cut the whole keyboard off of that Microfreak and just use it with a.
There's actually it's not a kit per se, but there's a company out there doing a 3D printed piece where you don't even have to damage this thing. If you open it up, which I've done multiple times, I did some of the testing for this. If you open this thing up, this whole piece actually will come off. So it's just a simple, ribbon cable, and you can separate it. So this little kit that you can get basically replaces that bottom section right there in the front.
Snap.
So it just becomes a module.
Well, guess who's doing that? Also, Peter, have you messed with the Sensel Morph with Animoog or the Model 15 app on the iPad?
No, I should.
There's actually,
but yeah,
I'm thinking those two would be nuts.
I was thinking more the audio damage.
Quanta, and
man.
Quanta is like one of my go-to demos with the Morph.
And with this.
Yeah, so this is my latest jam, and I just spent. So that was what I was playing here.
We're gonna battle. Me and Peter are gonna battle about who can pull more crap out from underneath the chair. Because I got one too, Peter.
Hey, look, I question what's under Ken's table. I don't even know if he has pants on right now.
Listen, right. don't worry about it. I got cartoons for that.
Oh, there you go. There's a thing called the internet for that. So, do you have a battery pack attached to your black box?
Oh, you want to talk batteries?
Oh no!
You don't even want to go there right now.
Peter, you just challenged Ken to the wrong battle.
Okay, I'll stop.
This guy's been testing batteries for high force to take that mobile. Do you know how big that is? It's big in my chest.
Throw at it and can fit in your pocket. I've got batteries that'll power. This entire modular rig can be battery powered.
Oh, so you must be doing modular on the spot stuff? Is that what you're?
Man, I'm not bringing 35 grand worth of modular anywhere.
Ken hooks up jumper cables to his
But I have been doing this. Look, let me show you this. Hold on.
There he goes. And every show at some point, Ken's like, "Hold on, I'll be right back," and he's comes back.
This has been my laptop jam lately. Is the Tempest and this battery.
Oh,
and,
wow. Okay.
And then this battery I can also power my Force from. So yeah, this has been the portable jam lately.
Nice. So this is like the portable jam that I'm trying to like.
Oh, dope.
Right. Dope. This is it. This is right here, right? You know, this is it. Battery, a Morph, and the black box. So today so I'll give you a preview of a video I'm working on. You know, since I got a 7-year-old, and you know we're homeschooling, and you know we're all stuck in the house. And yesterday, my wife just about lost it because she's been sort of doing a lot of the childcare stuff while I'm in my shed trying to furiously get stuff done. My wife's a teacher, so she's totally equipped to like homeschool. Okay, I know that rhythm. You know, and so. But today, like I was with Sam for a little while, and so what we did is we just like made a list. I was like, okay, what's a list of stuff that you have that makes cool sounds? You know, I threw out ideas, and he's like, oh, I know this. And so we listed a bunch of stuff, and then we went through and recorded a bunch of stuff onto the iPhone, and then I'm transferring the sounds that we recorded onto here, and then we're gonna do a little track together.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of like. So this is let's see. That's a train. This is a train. I'll put it next to the microphone. Train whistle slowed down. This is that's like a little harmonica he made. He has like this like the unboard book. So it's just got like all these projects for kids.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was like it's basically 2 popsicle sticks with a little rubber band in between. And then this is an actual harmonica. That's water gurgling in the sink.
It's like that could be many things.
Micturation, we'll say. This, I don't remember what this is. It's pitched way down.
Sounds like cars driving by.
I forget what it is.
Down.
So this is a
slow down 9,000%.
No, this is a Nerf gun, but pitched way down.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's dope.
Wow, that's dope.
I know. And then this is a Nerf gun. This is a Nerf gun pitched way up.
That's cool.
Nice.
You literally have the recipes for like that's all like a Pharrell track right there.
That's true. It's too true. It's Pharrell Neptunes all day.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, that's a new nerd banger right there.
nerd banger.
Dude, I love seeing other people talking about going nuts from homeschooling because we've been homeschooling for like 13 years now. So it's
really? Yeah. So you're like, what? Yeah, I've been there.
Oh yeah. Homeschool, and I got three.
Wow. So. Wow. Yeah. No, it is funny though because it's like it's not too big of a change for us to shelter in place. It's kind of like summer but with more structure because my wife's an elementary school teacher. You know, and so in the summers, like I work from home mostly. She's around, Sam's around, you know, and so it's kind of like that. Though it is more intense because you can't do anything fun because all fun has been canceled.
That's right. So I told my kids today.
You said all fun. You literally said to your kids, guys, all fun has been canceled.
I was about to tell them all breathing was canceled. They were being bad today.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I want to ask you this question. That there's somebody saying we need an iOS editor. Is there anything like that on the horizon for it?
We definitely, that's on our roadmap. Yes.
Very cool.
We very much want to have that happen because we recognize it's like, this is again, like, you got your OG iPad 2 and you're exactly the same, like this is a studio.
Yeah. Truly.
And so it's like, you want that to be independent. We definitely recognize that because it's it definitely is like that kind of puts it into a whole new ballpark. But because it's like you don't want to have a computer in the mix if this is what your jam is, and there's a lot of jamming to be done on that. So I'm also
I'm also fascinated with the new AR tech. Well, not new, but with the AR technology that Apple is introducing into a lot of apps, and the whole touch and 3D environment together, like games that could utilize, like, well, I'm putting pressure here, but I'm also seeing 3D environments in front of me via the camera on my phone. So this technology kind of like opens possibilities for a lot of development in different areas. Even like you showed us before, animation, like instead of having to draw frames, you can literally touch all the frames out.
Right. I mean, what I had going was like a really like crude animation. Like you don't have really great control over the character, but
but that's the potential and possibility.
The potential refinement, like, and also just interacting in 3D space is, like for CAD, like people who work with CAD, you're using like these crazy mice, and it's just like there's opportunities with this device that, unfortunately there's, again, it's that habits thing. Like you have to break all these habits, and you have to find that really great way of interacting. But there's definitely, like, we showed some demos at CES that showed some really basic CAD navigation with a pressure sensitive trackpad that's just like, oh, it makes it so much easier. So it's just like, animation, and like with the AR stuff you're talking about, like, you could have, this doesn't have labels on it, but if you had, an AR screen, that gave you those labels, just by pointing at it, you're like, oh, okay, that's what that button does, just by pointing and aligning. Because it's like the touch screen is cool, but it's not, there's so much more that you need from, from devices that you touch than a touch screen, because this is much nicer than glass. And then also just, of course, pressure sensitivity is, a much higher dynamic range on something.
Hey, Ken, you're muted.
Just being able to tactilely, feel the ridges of a pad and that sort of thing,
right.
that alone. And same with a fader or something. You might not need, a physical fader, but the ridge of the fader to know where your hand placement is, so that you're not looking down at a piece of glass while you're trying to mix and that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm thinking like, man, this would be so dope for the blind, and like, just the kind of interaction, because my dad is blind, so so I'm thinking about how this would help my dad. Like if he had something like this to, like, just imagine if his phone, the buttons were made out of this. You know what I'm saying?
Like, if you had like an auxiliary device, it's like, oh, okay, this is my phone, these are my number pads for the phone, and there would be different interfaces. You could just swap those interfaces.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of blowing my mind, just because.
That's dope, because you could do this technology on something that fits in a case.
Yeah.
Phone, right? And then this overlay to be able to do.
You know what? Let me stop talking, because they probably got all these ideas, and I'm probably like opening Pandora's box, and somebody.
There is a bit of like a development black hole, because it's definitely something that we've been approached about, like accessibility communities and things like that, and we're not tooled up for it, and it's really a different, like, it's a very different, I hate to say it, different customer, and we don't have that expertise, and it's not the core focus of our business right now. So it's like, I think eventually we will find the right, like, partner or person is going to be able to, like, shepherd this type of stuff through it. But like right now, it's just like, we see the potential, but we can't meet it right now because it's a level of resource that we don't have. So It's
I'm
really
happy you guys stick and focus to music for now because it's super selfish.
It's very easy to get distracted by this thing because it's like, oh, it does this, and like you always say yes to what it can do, and then there's also like you guys are experiencing, and you're like, oh, you could do this, and it's just like, yeah, but we just gotta try to focus on something here.
right. Because you focus on something or get nothing done, right?
Hey, Ken, imagine interfacing this with your Tempest and your rhythm.
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking about it even more with the 301.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm thinking about.
I use
that
as like
the right module.
Yeah, so all of us have the ER301, and we build a lot of stuff in it, and we kind of like. And this kind of seems like, well, I could build.
That's exactly why my mind went to the endorphins.
Yeah, I'm like,
I was like, okay, well,
what we got to do? We got to get a follow-up podcast because right now,
we do.
We're spitting out like all these ideas.
Million things.
We got to do the follow-up. We're like,
we
this is what I did. This is how it happened. This is what. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Peter, I'm gonna take you up on that. We should get back together next month or something, and then see what we've come across.
Somehow Ken got his Sensel Morph pregnant. Because new technology.
Like, did you know that you can silicone?
Somehow a new species was born.
I just got an idea for a whole new custom interface. Oh my god. I'm not even joking, man.
I'm just gonna say don't get any on me, okay?
Yeah, that's right. Keep it over there, buddy. Yeah. So hey Peter, I want
to shelter in place, all right?
Yeah. Look, he's literally drawing.
Look, Ken is drawing it.
He's going crazy now. He's look at him. He's moving all fast.
Yeah, because right now it's like we're dream people. We got to do beat people. So we gotta get. Yeah.
That's right.
Oh man.
So yeah, man. I appreciate you coming through, man. This has been a good chat.
Yeah,
and we're gonna do that follow-up thing, man. Yes. I think that's a great thing that we should do. Do a follow-up thing, and we'll probably have some really cool stuff to talk about again by then, because we can start all our brains are exploding towards the end of this thing here.
Yes.
And so, is there anything you want to leave us with on the way out?
Just I don't know. Keep dreaming. Let's figure stuff out. Like obviously we all are. This whole shelter in place thing has us everybody going crazy. Some people I know are definitely struggling, obviously, in the music industry. It's like, so I want to keep pushing through ideas because I do think that, it's going to be very hard, but we also are creative enough as a community that I think we're going to figure something out. And hopefully we can all figure out a way to make a living out of it. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what my pivot, I'm up here in San Jose in Silicon Valley, so I have to use words like pivot. That's what my pivot has been.
Classic conference room talk.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to circle back on that pivot, man.
That's hilarious.
So, that's kind of what I've been doing. I'm like, well, I can't visit people in person at Superbooth and Synthplex and Loop and start feeding on ideas. I just got to start putting ideas out there.
We're all kind of missing out on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's great. Like I got you three guys here, and it's just like, wow, we're hanging out.
Exactly.
And but so it's just like, that's what I'm doing with Sensel. Is like I'm talking to artists, doing live streams, doing tutorials, just trying to feed people's imaginations and trying to like get ideas out there and try to do it live in real time. And hopefully something sticks. If it's not something that I do that sticks, somebody sees something I do, or one of our artists is doing and gets a new idea and just like, how about I try this? So just keep following us on our socials. We keep making announcements and we'll get newsletters out there. We're giving away like sound packs with our artists. So last week I did an interview with Ralph Frund of Noisebusters, who's a Swiss-based psytrance dude. And we did a sound pack for the Sensel Morph for the MPE overlay and Bitwig. So that's the super cool thing. And then tomorrow I'm doing one with a guy, Hugo Paris, who's up in Portland. And we did a cool sound pack again for Bitwig and for UVI Falcon. So it's basically like it's an instrument for the Buchla Thunder overlay that kind of takes a lot of his sensibilities and takes a lot of his sounds and sort of puts them in software. So
Falcon does MPE.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. That's what's up.
Yeah. So
well, cool, man. That's dope.
So yeah, and every artist that I work with, I want to try to get some sort of, again, I'm going to use the corporate boardroom, the deliverable. I want to get some sort of thing that people can take away. If it's not, not just ideas, something to play with, some sort of new creative angle on working with controllers. So yeah.
Oh yeah,
nice.
That's super nice.
That's what we're doing.
Well, thanks for coming.
Really dig that, man.
Great.
All right. Well,
yeah, really good conversation, really engaging, and good products too, man. So appreciate you coming on. We're going to talk to you soon again, though.
All right. Excellent.
And this has been Beat People Podcast, episode 65. We'll see you guys Saturday.